All right, today we're going to be discussing similar polygons, and these are the content standards and mathematical practices for this lesson. Previously, you've used proportions to solve problems, and now we're going to use proportions to identify similar polygons and solve problems using the properties of similar polygons. New vocabulary: similar polygons and scale factor. Similar polygons have the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. So here's a key concept about similar polygons. Notice they have the same shape, but their sizes are different. AB is 15, where WX is 5. So they're not congruent anymore. This is the sign showing they're similar. We still have to make sure we've got them written in the right order. One arc, one arc. So A corresponds to W, okay? So as with congruent statements, the order of the vertices in a similarity statement, like ABCD and WXYZ, is important. It identifies the corresponding angles and the sides. So let's use a similarity statement. If triangle ABC is similar to triangle RST, list all pairs of congruent angles and write a proportion that relates the corresponding sides. So using the similarity statement, we can say that A is congruent to R, B is congruent to S, and C is congruent to T. Those are all the congruent angles. The proportions now, AB is equal to RS, or AB is to RS as BC is to ST as AC is to RT. Those are your proportions. So now let's look at a problem on our own. So check these two triangles, and which one of these statements is not true? We cannot say that angle GHK is congruent to KPR. Notice our wording, our numbers, our angles are not listed in the same order. So order is extremely important. That's what makes D not true. The ratio of the lengths of corresponding sides of two similar polygons is called the scale factor. Now the scale factor depends on the order of comparison. So let's look at this example. We've got two menus. If we look at FG compared to AB, we would have 12 over 10. Do you see that? Which would be reduced to 6 over 5. So now let's look at this length, FH compared to AD. That would be 14 over 12, which would reduce to 7 over 6. 7 over 6 is not the same thing as 6 over 5. So since the corresponding sides are not proportional, ABCD is not similar to FGHK. So the menus are not similar. We could say all the angles were the same because a rectangle has all right angles, but the sides were not proportional. Okay, let's look at another one. Here we have two menus again, so let's compare RS to AB, 8 over 10. That would simplify to 4/5. Let's look at this one, RU to AD. 9.6 to 12. 9.6 divided by 12 is going to give us the exact same number as 8 divided by 10. Let's look at that. So we've got a rectangle, so we know all the angles are congruent, but this would simplify to 4/5 as well. So these two menus are similar. They have a scale factor of 4/5. Okay, let's check your progress. Looking at these two wedding invitations. Okay, we've got rectangles, so we know that the angles are all the same size. So now let's look at our scale factor. So pause for a moment, look at the scale factor and tell me, are they similar, and what is the scale factor? Did you get a scale factor of 1/2? 8 over 16 and 6 over 12 are both proportional. They both have a scale factor of 1/2. So BCDE is similar to FGHI. Okay, let's look at this one. Compare these two. So pause for a moment, come back and check your answer. I too got that they were not similar. I ended up with 8/6, which is 4/3, is not proportional to 12/8, which is 3/2. Very good. Now we're going to use similar figures to find missing measures. So you can use scale factors and proportions to solve problems involving similar figures. So let's look at this. We need to, if the two polygons are similar, which they are all, the arcs are marked, so it's showing that they're similar, find x. So we're going to use the congruent angles to write the corresponding vertices in order. So A is to R, as B is to S, as C is to T, as U is to D, as V is to E. So notice we got A, B, C, D, E. Polygon A, B, C, D, E is similar to polygon R, S, T, U, V. So we're to write a proportion to find x. I'm going to go back to the picture in case you haven't drawn it. AB over RS, so 6/4, because those two are similar sides. Let's see if it's equal to CD, so we can find x, to TU. All right, so we have 6/4 is equal to x/3. If we started with 6, if that's our numerator and that's our denominator, this one has to be our numerator and that our denominator. So 6/4 is equal to x/3. All right, so now we're going to use cross products. 6 times 3 is equal to 4 times x, and then simply solve for x. So x is 9/2 in this one. Okay, so let's try something else. We are to find y. So let's look at this. Y is here, so we're going to compare it to this one. So we're going to have 8 over y plus 1 as 6/4, because we know both of these values. 6/4 is equal to 8 over y plus 1. Do our multiplication. Distributive property. Simplify. So y is equal to 13/3. Okay, so time to check your progress. So pause the video for a moment and work this one out. Did you get answer C? I said A is to 4, because I'm trying to find A, so A is to 4 as, and here's our other value that I have, 3 is to 5. So set that up, I end up with 5A is equal to 12, so A is equal to 2.4. Okay, try another one. This time solve for B, so pause for a moment. Okay, so we're looking for B. So B minus 6 is to 2 as 3 is to 5. I ended up with 5B minus 30 equals 6. Solving for B, 7.2. In similar polygons, the ratio of any two corresponding lengths is proportional to the scale factor between them. This leads to this theorem about the perimeters of two similar polygons. Okay. So if two polygons are similar, then their perimeters are proportional to the scale factor between them. Let's see what that means. We're going to use the scale factor to find the perimeter. I would go ahead and draw these in your notes. Notice that these two segments are equal, so I'd go ahead and label that one 4. I'd go ahead and label that one 7. I'd go ahead and label this one 10.5. Now we're trying to find the perimeter. So the first thing we need to find is what the scale factor is. So that's pretty easy. We could say 4 is to 7, right? So 4 is to 7 as we're trying to find perimeter. 4 is to 7 as DC is to 10.5. So let's find this measurement. When you do the math, you're going to find out that DC is equal to 6. So since DC is congruent to AB and AE is congruent to DE, the perimeter is we simply add up all those measures. Now that we found out that this is 6, we have 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 4 plus 4, so we end up with 26. Now we're going to use the perimeter of ABCD and the scale factor to write a proportion. So let's let x represent the perimeter of RSTUV. So our scale factor is 4 over 7. We know the perimeter of this one is 26, so let's try to find the perimeter of the other one. Do our cross products. So x is equal to 45.5. So the perimeter of ABCD is 26 and the perimeter of RSTUV is 45.5. Let's try it ourselves. You might go ahead and draw this one and label everything that you know that you have so we can go from there. Well, we know that this one's 16 and this one's 8, so all we have to do is add those up and we get a perimeter of 60. Well, from right there you could stop because that's the only one that's listed here. However, if you wanted to go ahead and work, we can use 6 over 8 for our scale factor, which is 3/4. So 3/4 is equal to, if we're trying to find a measurement, x over 16. If we're trying to find the measure x over 16, okay, so we're going to find that x is equal to 12. So 9 plus 6 plus 6 plus 12 plus 12 will give us 45. Very good. You're ready to begin the assignment.